Welcome back, everybody. Episode 59 of the Harsch Review. My name is Sean, and with me is my brother Ryan.
Hello, everyone.
And we're here to talk about Glass. So, this is going to be spoiler safe.
Okay.
Before we get into it, let's just get the pleasantries out of the way. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good, Sean. How you doing?
Good. All right, let's talk about the movie. No.
All right.
Yeah, there's some brotherly love right there.
LA will be represented in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yes.
You know, not that I'm not a huge football fan, but it's kind of cool.
It's something, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's something. We get the Dodgers in the World Series, and now we have the Rams in the Super Bowl. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's our sports news section of the.
Yes,
podcast.
you hear first. The Rams are in the Super Bowl.
Hey.
What else you been watching before we start talking about our weekly featured movie here?
Okay.
Anything new and exciting in the Elder Harsch's life?
Well, I took a cue from our last podcast, and I went back and watched this Murder Mountain.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So check that out. Very interesting. It's kind of like the South, like the rural South has been transplanted to Northern California.
Uh-huh.
You know, so a lot of that stuff reminded me of that movie, Winter's Bone. Have you seen that movie?
Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
Is this a porn?
No, it's a real movie. It's Jennifer Lawrence and John Hawkes. It's a great film.
Okay. Sorry to insult it.
It's like, no, it's all right. Takes place in the Ozarks, but you know, it kind of reminded me of the stuff going on in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Decent series. I mean, it kind of veered off into some things like you were saying, but I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
Very depressing, but
yeah, it's depressing.
You know.
So, do you recommend it after seeing it, or are you kind of like abort?
No, I'd recommend seeing it. It caught my attention. I kept watching it for a couple days. So, very enjoyable. Just kind of a different topic and subject matter. It weaved kind of like it looks like the history repeats itself with the regular farms, the marijuana farms, kind of hearkening back to like American regular farmers, being
regulation and all that.
Yeah, and being bought out by like the corporations or just not being able to sell their goods anymore. So it's like the same thing all over again, just with marijuana.
Sure.
I found that examination to be quite interesting.
So did you kind of share some of the, points of view I had where, they keep spinning up this quantity of missing people, but they don't really, address like how serious it is. Like you'd think there'd be more people showing up to this town if there's really just some void of people going missing.
Right. I mean, it got to be like there's so many people, it's hard to keep track of at times. Because a couple people just kind of merged into one person for me. The Vietnam vet guy they showed a couple times, he was quite an interesting character.
Yeah, he was actually pretty smart too.
Yeah, he was. Just, it just kind of takes its toll. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys like that. They went up there after Vietnam and just because it's such a remote location. But yeah, I mean, it seems like the law enforcement up there is a little overwhelmed and a lot of stuff going on, which is a lot like the American West, just turn of the century lawlessness and don't go up there. And some of the characters, the farmers, were quite interesting. Those guys were.
There's a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of them were straight up just like, business, and then others not so much.
Yeah. Just like huge stoners.
Yeah, I know.
Happen to, grow stuff. I don't know if some of those names were real. Like, there's a guy named Jason Dookie.
They probably got like wrestling names, like
I like
industry names.
My favorite, Douglas Fur. It's like, that's not your name.
Well, they said they had to change some of the names to protect people. Yeah. Like this one guy's walking around like a hat pulled over his eyes with like a, bandana over his mouth and these big sunglasses and he's like the hoodie on and like, we still can kind of see what you look like,
Yeah.
Not really fooling anybody.
No.
But All right. Well, I'm glad you got to see it.
Yeah, decent show.
What else is out there? Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, I've been really checking out this other show that just started on Netflix called Assassination of Gianni Versace.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's by it's basically, it was hard on finding it on Netflix first of all because it's actually under American Crime Story.
Okay.
So when it came up as that OJ show. Remember that OJ series with Travolta?
Yes, I do.
So this is, yeah, who could forget, right? So this is pretty much like season 2 of that. It's just obviously focuses on a different chain of events. It's really good, Sean. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's like, first of all, it's nice that you're not too familiar with the subject matter. Unlike the first season where it's like everybody, it's like, oh, it's Judge Ito. Oh, it's Marsha Clark. Oh, like all these, like whoever's like famous person of the moment is playing those roles. And this one, you really don't know too much about the story. So it really delves into, the title's a little misleading. It's more about the main character is the guy who killed Versace. His name's Andrew Cunanan, and the guy who played him, I believe his name's Darren Criss, and he won a Golden Globe recently, and deservedly so because he is amazing in this role. Such a like sociopathic, just unique kind of portrayal of this character.
Is it like a documentary or is it a dramatization? What is
No, it's a dramatization. It's
Okay.
It's an FX series. It's I'm almost done with it. I've seriously been binging this thing for the last 2 days, so I have like an episode and a half done, an episode and a half left. So but just a warning, I mean the violence, it's very gory. There's some like very sexually explicit stuff in here. So it's not for the faint of heart. You've heard it first on the Harsch Review podcast.
And you go to Netflix, and what do you search again?
You could go American Crime Story.
American Crime Story. Okay.
Yeah, and you'll get a picture of like OJ played by what's his name? The guy whoever played OJ.
Cuba?
And then you have to go Cuba. Yeah, you get a picture of Cuba Gooding in the courtroom. You're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I. And then you have to go to season 2. And then it comes up. So you have to work for it just a little bit, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's really good. I mean, it portrays the stuff like unflinchingly. It kind of chops up the narrative a little bit, which I like when they do that, because then you have to more or less.
You kind of keeps you intrigued, piece it together.
Sure. Yeah, you have to put it together yourself. So, but yeah, very fascinating. Just kind of like, just like that hero worship thing and what makes people want to be, why they're attracted to wealth and renown. It's really gets into that. So check it out, Sean. We'd probably talk about it next week if you.
I will, Ryan.
Get time to watch it, Sean.
No problem, Ryan.
Okay, Sean.
Every time I hear my name, I feel like I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so you got those 2 down. That's it?
No, I've been watching some other stuff too. There's 2 documentaries on this Fyre Festival.
Okay, I watched the Hulu one.
Yeah, me too. So let's talk about that one a little bit.
All right. What a shit show.
Oh, jeez, dude. So this guy, Billy McFarland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, him and Ja Rule started the, and they showed that Chappelle bit on Ja Rule. I thought that was hilarious.
I know.
But anyway, they showed this. It's basically like they started this festival that was kind of catering to the upper echelon parts of society. And then it turned out to be, like he said, a shit show. The guy ended up getting in trouble for wire fraud and stuff like that. And people showed up and they weren't given what they were promised. And it turned into like a major state of emergency. Really interesting. And that guy is just something else, man. Was it just me or did you notice that he was saying the word crayon weird?
He was saying crayon.
He said like crayon, and then I thought, I'm like, oh, he's from Canada, and then I looked him up and he's like from New York.
No, it's crayon.
Is that like he said it?
Dude, and his
times.
boots bothered me.
Yeah.
That guy's just
his boots
prime
and like
douche.
He had a lot of like little ticks and stuff, like you can tell, like where he just kind of like very like kind of spaced out when they ask him certain questions. A lot of like little like nonverbal stuff going on. You can totally pick up that he's very like tortured, and he's just like, I mean, basically it's just this guy. He's a con artist, and he's fleeced all these people, and but really cool how the documentary tied it into like where our culture is right now with social media and trending and Instagram opportunities. And so I thought they did a good job of giving us all of that, and then getting a lot of the players, except for Jaw. He declined to comment.
Yeah. He's got all kinds of, so I was taken for a fool as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they were all in on it. So
yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, it's, what you think of it?
It's, so just to kind of set the stage, Netflix kind of surprised everybody. They came out with their version 5 days before Netflix released theirs a few days ago on Friday. And it's really about the Fyre Festival that happened in the Bermudas. That was a total shit show. No bands ended up playing. All these people got stranded and all that kind of stuff. And so the one in Hulu, which I watched, I haven't watched the Netflix one. I'm assuming you have?
Yeah. No, I was going to get to that one.
Okay, so
after the first one, I was like, I don't know, I was going to do it, and then it's like a Friday night.
Kind of burned on it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll give it like a week to marinate and then get back into it.
Yeah, so
to see their take on it.
It's really, it was well made, but I have a couple issues with it. So the guy Billy was like this young entrepreneur who thought he was going to be like the next Mark Zuckerberg, and was like just kind of a hustler. Pretty good at it, pretty good at getting people to give him money and right place, right time, makes all these crappy investments. None of them really took off, really kind of knew how to capture social media and like create this, buzz for a millennial generation out of nothing, get people's money. So his cash flow was like very fast. You'd get money and then he'd quickly spend that money to create the illusion of wealth, to get more people to give him money. And it was like just a nonstop blender. And then out of the blue, he wanted to do this Fyre Festival and have all these bands, and then partnered with Ja Rule, and all this other stuff like that, and wanted to do this festival in like 4 months. And on an island that's never even had anything like this, all kinds of issues from the get-go. They're renting houses up to like $300,000. They're selling tickets for $50,000 a piece. It's like just, Kylie Jenner's going to be there. All these famous influencers. All these people got duped to thinking this was like the next biggest thing because they hired, I mean, did you feel bad for the people that got duped? It's like not at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a rich man's thing. You know what I mean?
It totally was. Like I have no sympathy when wealthy people, go because they want to be seen by other rich people. It wasn't.
Yeah,
it stunk like shit from the get go, and only if you had
medicine,
hundreds of thousands of just dollars of disposable money. Would you even try to go and do it? And I don't know. So anyways, long story short is he was on this interview. They were interviewing him, before he goes to prison, and, which is the story's been out, so it's no spoiler, but, I don't believe the Netflix people actually have him being interviewed. I think they do it from the point of view, of the advertising agency that he hired, to do all the ads and stuff like that. Right. So the Netflix said that they didn't want that. He wanted money to be on the show. So Hulu's from what I'm reading, Hulu tells the story, but they don't really focus on the festival too much. And they actually focus on this guy, Billy, and his story arc and all the crap that comes along with it. But like once the festival happened, they don't really show you how bad it was, or
it didn't seem like there was a festival.
They kind of spent like they're they're talking about it for like an hour. Yeah, you get maybe 5 to 10 minutes of like this is actually on-site footage, and let's just profile how bad it was.
Messed up cheese sandwich.
It's so dumb.
In a takeaway box. It's he's like on a table trying to explain to everybody.
Yeah,
I'll answer all your questions, and it's like, they're about to mob you, dude.
Yeah, I know. So, anyways, very, very entertaining. I enjoyed it. So it's on Hulu, Fyre. Check it out. I think you'll really dig it. And then I'm going to watch the Netflix one, and I'll have to get back to you guys on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week, I'm sure.
Cool.
Yeah, all right. And then started watching True Detective, but I think I'm gonna watch.
Same here.
A couple more of those.
I'm too deep. That's all it's out.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Hey, a lot better than season 2 so far.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Although I'm a little still hung up on what's his partner, the guy that did the ads for the the blue e-cigarettes.
Yeah, but he's pretty good in this.
Yeah, he is. But I'm like,
he's usually kind of like,
where do I know this guy from? Oh, he's the guy walking on the beach.
He's like too cool for the room guy.
Yeah, it totally is.
In everything,
where do you get your swagger from?
Yeah.
So
yeah, too cool for the room.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
got anything to bring to the table, Sean?
So yeah, True Detective. Obviously, I watched A Star Is Born.
Okay.
Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga. Really good movie. Bradley Cooper is really good in it.
Yeah, I like him.
Have you seen this movie?
No, it's on my list though. It's out on. You can get it now.
You can. Yeah. I don't think it's for rent just yet, but you probably can get it at Redbox or something. Mm-hmm. It'll be streamable in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, he's great in it. He did really good. I mean, Lady Gaga was really good in it as well. But I mean, while she has some really good scenes, you still see Lady Gaga, in my opinion, because of the character she was playing. Was basically like a Lady Gaga type character. But she still did a really good job. I don't think
she doesn't like completely disappear into the role.
Not really. You could tell that they're really trying to like not make it feel like it was Lady Gaga-esque, you know what I mean? But she's somebody that, she's a musician that nobody would like because she has a big nose and all this stuff. And then he thinks she's great. So he, helps her become a star, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then she becomes like this big pop diva and all this stuff and is doing dance routines. And so it went in a different direction than I thought because it was a lot more modern. I thought it was going to be much more in that country western pocket. But it doesn't. It goes much more into the rock and pop side of things. Okay. Surprised to see, Andrew Dice Clay played her dad.
Oh, yeah.
He did a great job. Dave Chappelle's in it. I think even Eddie Griffin's got a little role in it. So there's a handful of comedians that are in it as well.
Right.
And it's a depressing-ass movie. So it's really good, but it's
been
depressing.
Made several times.
It's like talking the fourth version, I think.
Yeah, somebody at work, we were talking about it. And it's kind of like the same plot, like a rise to stardom and then like the descent kind of thing. So
yeah,
but it looks interesting. And I mean, he directed it, right? Obviously,
yeah, he did.
Directed it, wrote it. Okay,
yeah,
nice.
But
thumbs up.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really good movie.
Yeah,
but I think that he's gonna have, you can smell the Oscar all over his acting and stuff like that. I don't think so much for directing. But I mean, he did a lot for a movie about musicians. Surprisingly, he did a pretty good job of like always kind of keeping the point of view of the camera on stage, as opposed to off stage, which was kind of a little bit more intimate, which was nice to see.
Right.
But yeah, check it out.
Okay.
Star is Born. I think that is all that I can recall. No, I've been watching some other crap, but I don't remember it right now.
Okay.
Clearly, I have notes.
Of course.
All right, you ready? You want to get into it?
Yeah. Let's glass it up.
Ooh, I don't know if that term might mean something somewhere else. You got any glass, buddy?
Hey, buddy. Got the glass.
All right, so just to kind of set the stage, Ryan and I are going to talk about the latest from M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, the Train 177 or 177, whatever the name of the train is, trilogy. And we're not going to spoil anything. We're just going to talk about our impressions and thoughts. We're going to kind of be very vague in some areas, and then we're going to call a timeout, give you plenty of heads up, and then we'll go into spoiler talk. So you'll have enough time to get out once you hear the little musical break. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're listening to this, don't worry. You can still listen and it's totally safe. But in about 15, 20 minutes, you're going to want to pause it, come back if you haven't seen it. All right, so this is the first time I've seen a M. Night movie in the theater I think, since the Wind movie with Mark Wahlberg, and that's where I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, me too. I guess I had vowed to like never. I'm like, I'm not giving this guy my money again in the theater, So I'm like, you burned me. Shame on, one of those shame on me, shame on you, second time or whatever. But or however you say that little phrase. But I was my curiosity was piqued by this film because after Split, which I did rent, I was like, okay, I mean this guy is starting to kind of come back out of his shell, a little bit more, whatever the Hollywood system put him in. And we had talked about this kind of extensively in a couple episodes ago. But
yeah.
And I also think Unbreakable is probably is one of his best films. So I was kind of psyched for this. Like when I saw the previews and everything, I was excited to see it. So went to a packed theater the other night. It was a new theater. It opened up pretty close, and it was one of those like they bring the food to you and everything. So it was quite nice.
Oh, cool! Look at you. Where's this place at?
Well, you might remember the Krikorian Theater in Redlands.
Yeah,
they had redone it, so it's now the Studio Movie Grill. So it's got like a restaurant in there, and then it's got the little button on the tray you can push if you want service, and it's pretty nice. Nice recliners and everything. You. Look at me stepping it up. So, and then the bathroom, you might like this one, is now on the ground floor because when that theater opened up, all the bathrooms are at the top of this like very long, windy staircase.
Yeah.
So now they actually got with the times and put the bathroom on the ground floor where it belongs. So, kind of nice surprise.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you had the whole experience.
Yes.
So let's just start off. I mean, first impressions. What do you think after seeing it?
Well, I'll tell you what. Like James McAvoy is amazing. It was just like if anything, like this movie's called Glass, but this was like for me, it was just every time he was on the screen, you're just like he was so fun to watch. All the stuff he was doing. It was just it was really amazing. I mean, because for those of you who don't know, Split, this won't ruin any, this isn't a spoiler alert, but Split, he plays this guy with like several personalities. So he goes from one to the other and they're all pretty distinct. And so it's not just like obviously the verbal stuff he's doing, but also the nonverbal stuff. It's really interesting. So that really got me in the film. And then I liked the movie. I quite liked it. I mean, I had to like a few times suspend disbelief and say, okay, there's some shit going on here that like may not be happening, but then you got to also look at it as like, it's kind of like it was like an independent superhero film to me. Mm-hmm. Meaning that like, I expect there to be like some big showdown, like scenes and stuff, but M. Night kept everything kind of contained. Didn't really have all that. He relied more on the actors, which I thought is kind of, now that we think about it, going back a few weeks to our conversation, that's kind of his thing where like, it doesn't seem like he spends a ton of money on his movies. But he does like allow the actors to kind of create the film. More, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He ever since his fall from grace, he's had to do it much more like scrappy. And he said that, I was reading some interviews where he mortgaged his house to self-finance this movie. And because the studios were willing to pay for it, like Disney was willing to give him the money, but he didn't want to. So I think he wanted that creative control, and he also kind of didn't want to make money unless it was worth it or it earned it. So I think he's taken his hits on some of the shit he's made. And I think they made it for around 20 million. Maybe up to a budget of 47 million after marketing and things like that. I mean, he did the same thing with Split, and that thing made almost $400 million. So he clearly made his money back. But yeah, it's definitely, this one feels a lot more art house-esque. Very similar how, I mean, it's crazy because the first Unbreakable cost almost 5 times as much to make. And that was just excessive, crew and everything on hand. I'm sure Bruce Willis was charging a premium after coming off of Sixth Sense. So yeah, what he's able to do with just a small budget was pretty impressive. Right.
And I mean, good story. And it's like, you don't have like a lot of characters. you have some very basic scenarios. So it's like you just kind of set up, everything and then just let it go. And then I think it's cool how you just kind of riding off that success of Split and then incorporate it into this film, but give it nice closure as well.
And, absolutely.
The movie's a little over 2 hours. Didn't really feel like it. So to me, it was never really boring. There wasn't really any kind of like downtime in the film. It pretty much kept moving the whole time. It was pretty engaging throughout, I thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the camera work was really good in this.
Yeah, it was.
There's a lot of scenes there's a lot of 360 type of motion he was doing with the camera where it's, like a small intimate room and there's like one or two people in there. And then the camera, it just kind of floats around and takes in the atmosphere and goes between different people that are talking. Like if we're sitting across from each other having dialogue, the camera's kind of, had a very organic, fluid motion to it. So I thought he did really good camera work.
Sure.
I agree. James McAvoy was awesome in this movie, but I almost felt like it was a little too much.
You think so?
Well, I think they showcased the personalities a lot more intensely than they did in Split, because he's sharing the camera time. And so I would say that while they're still very, very entertaining, it was a little hard to follow at first, like what they were trying to convey, I think a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the movie definitely felt a lot more like comic booky, more so than like Unbreakable and Split to me, which, I was fine with in just terms of like kind of over exaggerating some of the qualities of the characters,
Yeah.
But you kind of have to do that with this kind of movie. So after a while I was like, okay, I'm all right with that part of it, so it got a little bit more, like a standalone, like graphic novel or something like that.
Yeah, it definitely talks about comic books a lot. It's got a message and very much like the first one. But it's a little bit more in your face, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
What did you think of like the plot? Did it, was it what you thought this movie was going to be? Did it go in different directions? I mean, I went into it not knowing, really having any expectations.
Yeah, I didn't want to. Like, I knew there was a kind of an extended trailer out, so I'm like, I just watched a little bit of that. But I mean, I thought the plot was pretty good. I mean, I think it took a little while to build up to stuff. At times, there were a lot more like character exposition, I guess, than anything else, which isn't always a bad thing. But for people I think some people might go into this movie being a little disappointed because it's not going to be as much action as you'd think. So you're going to have a lot more like character building, a lot more like scenes with maybe just a couple people in it at a time. And then stuff is, like I said, it's moving pretty quickly, but not as quickly as like a Marvel type film.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the superhero movie, but
which is cool. Yeah.
If you've seen Unbreakable and you've seen Split, look at that movie and go, how much is dialogue and drama versus actual action? It follows that same type of format. So it's not going to be, Batman versus Superman or something like that. The movie goes at, what I don't think is an unexpected version. I think people that say that are just full of shit. I think it's exactly what you would kind of expect, coming from the last two movies to this one. It follows this very similar format. It's no different.
But I'm sure a lot of people are going to be going into this film thinking, it's going to be a big action film, and it's not. I mean,
I don't know where they would get that from.
I'm just thinking like young people go. I mean, there's some young people in the movie I've seen, and they were behind me, like kind of talking shit. So it's like, you're going to get a lot of people going to this film that, I mean, you're not going to assume they're going to see the previous two movies all the time.
No, it's true, and that's
kind of a dead movie. It's kind of but it's kind of like a dead movie month. So like anything that comes out, most people are going to go see. So it's like a lot of films, it's not always going to deliver what people expect it to. But I guess we're going to have to wait till arrival of Carol Danvers to get our fill of action, won't we?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Oh yeah, and I saw another preview for that thing.
It just didn't look good.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit too much sci-fi for me.
Yeah, I keep an open mind, but
not that I don't like science fiction. I'm pretty picky when it comes to it.
I'm just,
and when I find something I like, it's like. But this one was just like,
it's Marvel fatigue, man. Like it is. This movie, take it out of the timeline, and like my feelings about it would be different. I think it's because, and this is just a real quick off-topic conversation. We'll get right back to Glass, but I think because when I first started watching the Marvel movies, I really wasn't respecting the timeline, so to speak. I wasn't like, I got to go see this, I got to go see that. So there's a lot that I went back and watched. And so I kind of liked not feeling like I'm obligated to watch it. Now it's almost kind of like that, you're in season 2 or 3 of your Netflix show, and then you could just tell the whole show bottoms out, but you're just going to finish it because you want to say you got it done.
Yeah, drag through it.
That's what this is starting to feel like. I mean, Black Panther was probably the first film where I was kind of like, this wasn't that good. And
you guys starting to reach a little bit.
And then Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was like, okay, not that great. And then Now I'm Afraid is just another one, and you're kind of going like, okay, it's either going to, give it a fair shake, but I don't like feeling obligated to have to see something to be able to, it's not a damn Netflix series.
Exactly.
So anyways, so I would say that, Shyamalan said that this is one of the best screening movies he's had. But there's a huge gap between what critics have been saying so far and what audience has been saying. So I think if you're a fan of Unbreakable and you liked Split, I think you'll like the movie. The payoff, resolution, the story arc might not be what you're expecting, but that's also kind of the point, I guess, is that, there's a little bit of toying with the audience. You're kind of guessing like, where's this going to go? Where's this going to go? And it doesn't go the way that you're thinking it does. And I think that's what people are kind of might be reacting to, is that it's, is pointing to direction A, and you're thinking like, okay, A looks pretty sick. How do we get there? And then it goes, actually, it's direction B. And you go, oh, okay, well, I'll settle for B. And they go, no, actually, it's C. And you go, well, okay, well, which one is it? And so like it starts to feel like that, or then you just kind of don't know, and that it starts to kind of unravel and get a little bit loose. And then they bring it all back together, over like the last 20 minutes or so, I would say. So it's not like his traditional movies where there's like a big gotcha or like a big hook. I'm not spoiling anything by saying that, but he's not going for that, Sixth Sense type of thing here. It's very much like Unbreakable. I mean, I watched that 2 days ago before going and seeing Glass, and it's a much slower paced movie than I remember. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. There's like zero action in that movie, but it's a really good drama and good character study. So I was actually kind of impressed how this one went.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I should have done that. Maybe like go back, but now I want to. I want to go back and watch the other two.
Yeah.
You just check them out and see. Okay, like put the whole thing together because it is part of a trilogy. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Good original story.
This I would say that the sound editing was probably one of the best I've seen him do in a while. I just remember paying a lot of attention to the score or the music and how they built tension in this one compared to
think
some
about
of
that
the
music. It got kind of annoying after a while, though.
Well, it's
like there's some sharp violins, or I think it was like he was going for like that tension. I understand, but it was like, okay, dude, like you don't need to ramp it up that much.
Didn't bother me too much, but I do remember liking. There was like a long period where it was just kind of like a clock tick type of beat. And it was like just kind of building tension. Kind of reminded me of Heat. Where Heat, like they're getting ready to do the heist and everything's going and you just got to tick, 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 and it's like just like a metronome going.
Dunkirk.
Yes. It had that kind of vibe going to it at one point, which I think is kind of needed to build tension when you visually aren't really seeing everything. Thoughts on Bruce Willis?
Yeah, I mean, he's not in it that much. It seemed like, like he was good. I mean, he's just kind of understated itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he looks
I like Bruce
good.
Willis though. Yeah, he did. He looks really good.
You know,
I've always liked Bruce Willis. It's just like you can always say, well, I wish they used him more, but going back to what you said, I think like it's like McAvoy kind of stole the show, and I don't like he just kind of wrote it in there. But I mean, it's called Glass, but it's like Samuel L. isn't talking the whole time, so it's like
Well, okay, so to kind of back up what Ryan's saying is, if you had to divide the movie between these three, McAvoy gets half, and then Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson split the other half. That's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
But the point of view is told, like, they each get a significant period of time to where you see things through their point of view. But, I mean, Bruce Willis did fine. He looked great. He was very much a carryover from Unbreakable. And I just kind of remember thinking, like, when's the last time I saw a movie with Bruce Willis in the theater?
Yeah.
When is the last one you've seen?
Oh, man. That's
right?
a tough one. Yeah.
Like, what has he made that's
Pulp
been
Fiction,
good?
Like, I saw a re-release of Pulp Fiction a couple of years ago. I was like, yeah.
I think it was Unbreakable. I mean, I honestly don't know between then and now.
I mean, he's in just like a lot of random movies,
But he's like one of those, he's an action hero.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to have seen him in something like a cameo or
you saw him in Split.
Okay. Yeah. But I didn't see Split in the theater.
You didn't think he was going to show up, but
yeah, I didn't see Split in the theater. Let's look at the list here real quick.
That's what I'm looking at. Like we got Glass, Split, Death Wish in 2018.
Yeah, no.
So it's like
I didn't see Good Day to Die Hard in the theater. Looper, I didn't see that in the theater either.
That was a good one.
I didn't see The Expendables in the theater. I remember him in those. Oh, no, that's before Unbreakable, isn't it?
Like we're looking at like the last 10 years.
We're looking all the way back to Unbreakable. I'm trying to think, like,
all right,
is the Unbreakable the last time?
Probably. Trying to get a sense of
I think I saw Ocean's 12 in the theater. That was in 2004. He was in that one. I saw Sin City. Okay. So probably Sin City, 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would probably say.
Yeah, you didn't go see the Expendables in the theater, Sean?
No.
All right.
God, no. I watched it, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I ate like nothing but raw meat and drank like Coors Light.
Sweet.
Yeah, so he was good in this. It's nice to see him do like a serious dramatic role and not being like a shitty movie. I don't think he's made a really good movie in a while. So I mean, I could be mistaken.
Yeah.
If I am, let me know.
Yeah.
And then, Sam Jackson obviously is the most successful movie star ever. He's got more money and more movie credits to his name than almost anybody.
He's great.
He was really good in this.
He was great, man. I rewatched Hateful Eight recently too, and it's like how great he is in all those Tarantino movies. He's always just such an interesting character.
He's really good in this one.
He is, yeah. It's very like understated, and I liked it. It's a good character. I mean, it's just like he's kind of right for that role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sarah Paulson, she was pretty good. I mean, kind of neutral, right in the middle. I mean, from the trailer and the posters, where they're all kind of in the insane ward or whatever that they kind of show on the poster. Yeah. It shows three of them sitting there. There's like a really cool scene that you see in all the trailers and stuff. So, but Shyamalan said that it was totally his Cuckoo's Nest. He said that's what inspired him was Cuckoo's Nest. So you can see that, which is kind of cool.
It's one of my favorite films ever.
Any surprises? Anything? Any last things to throw out there before we take the reins off here?
If there are surprises, I think I'll save them for the spoiler part of the podcast.
I would say
not a lot, but you get a pretty decent, like we said, it's a nice like art house. I mean, people that want to go see this movie, it's a nice reprieve from the Marvel DC stuff for sure. Mm-hmm. It's probably like a stronger script than those movies, I think. I mean, the movies are, those kind of movies are driven more by the story, even though they get ridiculous at times. It is like a comic book thing, so you have to keep that in mind. But with this one, the script was strong, and he's a good writer. It's just, he's been, like we've talked about, kind of misled over the years. So you know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it though. I'm glad like it's a good way to start off 2019.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, I was surprised at how intimate it felt. You know, the on location vibe was very strong, where the locations used were almost a character within themselves, the way that they were used, which is nice because you have to actually stay in an environment, whereas fast paced movies like a James Bond or a Jason Bourne type, you don't, the location doesn't really mean anything. Whereas here, I like it when the location means something. You start like learning and all the different angles, and you get a sense of the space that the camera's in and the characters are in. And so I kind of liked a lot of that. I kind of knew, like I could kind of call the plots like misdirections. So there's a lot of them, and you're trying to guess like what it is, especially in a movie that's like this, like how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? And you have to really just kind of like not try to guess and anticipate. But I did find myself at times kind of feeling like challenged to kind of go, is this how the movie's going to end, or is this where it's going? And a lot of times I just didn't buy into some of those misdirections and stuff that typical movies like this have.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so summary, if you haven't seen Glass and you liked Unbreakable, go see it. You'll totally dig it. If you're someone who thought Unbreakable was decent, you may or may not have liked some of Shyamalan's movies. You know, matinee. If you really like Split, then definitely go see it. But if you're lukewarm on all those, then I would say probably rent it, or just go not expecting anything and then see if you get surprised.
Okay.
That's my take.
Yeah, I like that.
It's kind of on you guys, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still not ready to kind of fully endorse a Shyamalan movie, but I thought it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it's like he's making a slow crawl out of the pit that Batman was in the third Batman.
I know, with the bat
like
nipples.
that. Like he's at the top.
Yeah.
This movie kind of puts him over the lip of the pit. You know.
Yeah, we're baby steps.
Yeah, you're getting there.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna jump right into spoiler territory. So this is your chance. Thanks for stopping by. Once you've seen the movie, come back, pick it up from here, and let's take a break. Go. All right, welcome back, guys. This is the spoiler-heavy review portion of Glass. So, last chance, get the hell out of here. If you're listening to me talk and you don't want anything spoiled, it's on you now. All right, I'm just going to get it out on the table.
Okay.
I could not get over Mr. Glass's mom's horrible-ass makeup.
Yeah, that was bad, dude. Like I kept looking at that, and I'm looking at the picture of the actress now, and she's like much younger than that.
Yeah, because they used the same lady.
Yeah, it didn't look good. So
it was the worst part of the movie. It was it looked like a serial killer skinned someone's face off, and glued it onto their own.
It was kind of like Buffalo Bill.
It was so bad.
And, like worked his way into this movie because I noticed that right off the bat, and I was like, oh no, like I'm sure she's better looking than that, but it's like...
Yeah, that was bad.
That wasn't good. That was one thing I was looking for was an end of credits scene, but because everyone in the movie, like when it was over, they were just sitting in their seats.
Yeah, I Googled it and Split.
Me too. I did too. And I'm like, nope. It's like basically he's intending this to be the last part of a trilogy. He's not intending to do the story. So there you have it.
Yes.
There you have it. But there's some like I alluded to earlier, like the improbable shit, and it's like this is like a high security ward of a psychiatric hospital, and you're telling me there's like one motherfucker who's like patrolling this thing like from on the night shift. It's like, come on, dude.
Little convenient.
Yeah, I mean a little, and then just how they were like able to move around, and that was kind of like threw me off. And then I was like, okay, again, it's a comic book film, so you have to give it up a little bit. you know.
But I don't really see it as a comic book film. Like I do,
Okay.
like that's a narrative within it. But I think a comic book film is a little misleading.
Okay.
So to back up though, like really the way that the plot is, and this is my interpretation of it. So you tell me your take on this.
All right.
You starts off, Bruce Willis is doing his superhero thing, and he's kind of like in the news, and him and his son, who's the same actor, which was kind of cool from the original. But he's 30 years old now. They're kind of like a tag team. He's like on the headset,
Yeah.
like he's like the April O'Neil, and he's like a Ninja Turtle.
Right.
So he's out
Pepper
there.
Potts.
Yeah. He's out there, cracking skulls and all that kind of stuff. And then, this takes place 2 weeks after Split ends.
2
so,
weeks.
2 weeks. So he knows that the beast is, the horde or whatever is out there. And so he's kind of looking, he's kidnapped some more girls. It's like the third time. The movie Split was the first time he kidnapped people. After that, he kidnapped some other people and murdered them. And then the third time is in this movie. So it really starts off with Bruce Willis looking for these girls. Leads to some really cool encounters and all that kind of stuff. But then eventually him and the beast get caught and taken to this.
I think it's great when he turns into the beast, dude. It's just like,
I know, it's kind of funny.
He's just making those sounds, and it's like, oh shit. Like the shirt comes off and the muscles get bigger, and it's like,
it's pretty funny.
Like when he went down that tunnel and like with all those druggies, and it was like,
I know, it's like this guy's got problems.
Tripping him out.
But and so then they all end up in the psych ward, and what I thought was kind of cool is that Sarah Paulson's character's, she also says, we have Mr. Glass here, and he's been there for a long time. He doesn't speak, he doesn't move, he just kind of sits there in a wheelchair. And she's talking to them, trying to say, like, you think you have superpowers, but you don't. You're actually kind of crazy, and starts making like really good sense about things in their lives that lead them to believe these things. And that's like her main point, is to kind of get them to realize that, like, you're no different than anybody else. You just believe that you are, and then therefore that's why you're doing these things. Eventually, Mr. Glass has been kind of playing everybody, and you kind of start to realize that he's got this big diabolical plan to break them all out and to show the world that
he wants to blow up Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah, basically they put a Nakatomi Plaza in Philadelphia. I thought the same
it's
thing.
Like, all right, I was like, we've been here before.
Yeah, I know.
No.
And so he has this clever way. They he plans on taking the beast to this new tall skyscraper that's built in downtown Philly, and he wants the beast to face off with David Dunn, Bruce Willis's character, so the world can see that they truly are super powerful. And
little known fact, he's brother of Harry Dunn from Dumb and Dumber.
Yes, I know. So that's kind of where the arc goes, but then the plot kind of falls out because they get outside the penitentiary. And they have this big action.
And that's where I thought it would take
there.
off. That's where I thought they would be going to the actual tower. But that was maybe the surprise for me. Is like it was just all kind of contained to this area, which is cool. That's where you get that indie cred kind of.
Yeah, because you could
do a lot with a little bit.
Because if he had a lot more money, you would have seen like 50 cop cars on site, and more than like 8 cops show up to this thing.
It's got to show B-roll footage from Die Hard.
Yeah, there wasn't a strong presence of a lot of people. So it felt a little empty at times. But I understand. Like it's still it's has nothing to do with the story.
It just shows like that you're a pretty decent director. It's like you're only given so much, and it's like you just say, okay, this is what we got, and this is what we're gonna do, and that's it. You don't need to make it too extravagant, which is, I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And so then like the big plot reveal was that, what's his head? Kevin, I guess is the boy's name, or, the horde, the beast, but I don't know what we call that character.
Right.
And his father was on the same, 177 train that Bruce Willis is on and died. And so
I didn't see that coming.
He kind of realizes that Mr. Glass is the one who killed his dad. And so he does a little big, chest punch to Mr. Glass, which obviously is going to tune him in.
You get to see how wonderful Mr. Glass's teeth are.
I know, right?
There's probably all that years of like bad medication, just like rotting your teeth away.
So that's the first part where I'm like, okay, is that the reveal? Because there's going to be some kind of plot reveal.
And I knew there was something going on with Sarah Paulson. Like I didn't, so I knew like after a while
there was some foreshadowing.
Hold on a minute. It's like, well, the foreshadowing from like I thought it was like there was a part where she picked up her jacket and it kind of swirled like a cape, and I'm like, wait a minute, she might be like a superhero. Like that was like, it's like tying these guys together and forming like the next Avengers or something. But I knew something was weird about her because like when she caught the two dudes, it's like, okay, how'd she know this was going on? And,
she's very informed for no reason.
It didn't seem like a lot of other law enforcement was involved, just despite the people that they had to take the guys down. So,
well, she said she had like 3 days to get them to understand that they need mental help, and made all these accommodations and kind of had everything set up because she put David Dunn in like a prison with all this water, and then she put the Beast in another cell that had like these strobe lights that would force him to change personalities. Right. And then, Mr. Glass was just in an empty, hard room of hard surface. There was nothing going on with him.
Zoned out.
Yeah, just zonked out. But then, so back to where I was at is, so Mr. Glass takes one to the chest. That does him in. The girl that was from Split that's in this, the one that he let live, she's
Casey.
trying to like convince him that like, hey, it's okay, you don't have to become the Beast. That's like his defense mechanism. And the cop snipes him in the gut, so he's going down. And then this other guy drowns Bruce Willis. And so I thought like, this is really strange.
That was goddamn depressing.
Yeah, so all three of them die within like 5 minutes.
Yeah, dude.
But right before,
like, okay,
right before Bruce Willis dies, Sarah Paulson touches his hand. He gets a little flashback that she's part of like this rogue, security type group that needs to maintain balance by keeping superheroes in check. And
otherwise known as the Illuminati.
Basically, it's like kind of like an Illuminati type, like a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type of thing.
Sure.
And she mentioned something like, hey, we were okay with it for a while, but then this guy came out, and next thing you know, like we had to intervene. And so, she didn't want it to be this way, but she tells him like this for the greater good. Mm-hmm. And before Sam Jackson dies, he's like, oh, you think this is the end? This is actually the origin story. Don't really know what he's talking about. He dies. So, fast forward a little bit, and there's all these security cameras and stuff everywhere, and they found out that this whole event that happened outside this psych ward was being live streamed to some hard drive, which was a big plan of Mr. Glass's, because then he uploaded all these clips.
Which was kind of on her, because she put all these fucking cameras everywhere. So it's like, all right, like you don't think anyone's going to like compromise the footage.
Well, I think that she underestimated him.
Right.
So I think that kind of shows is that, one guy's power is the Beast in his personalities. Bruce Willis is a strong man, and Mr. Glass is the mastermind. So this movie is truly all him, because he's the one who brought them all together. It just took 19 years. He's the one who masterminded the suicide mission. He knew they were all going to die, so that he could expose them and broadcast it to the world. What the company that she's trying to do is to cover all that up. Right. So, I was reading some interviews and discussions with Shyamalan about the plot, and he was still kind of being different about it, but he was kind of saying that it's not a comic book movie per se, but that comics help explain things in life to us that we may or may not understand. It helps us interpret the world around us. And that was what's different about Kevin, or the personality kid, because he had an absence of comics in his life. So he didn't know who he was. And, he was looking for, that's the main thing of the first Unbreakable, was this yin and yang, two people that are trying to find their place and know who they are. So they leave Unbreakable.
It's kind of an identity search.
Exactly. So Unbreakable is an identity search. Second one's kind of just like a new character thing, but then this one is what's my purpose? Right. And so each of them serve a different purpose in order to get the bigger message out there, which is that, yes, there are extraordinary people that live amongst you, and one of you could be it. So stop doubting what everybody tells you. And, that's like kind of like the big moral story is that the whole time,
we're all snowflakes, Sean.
Yes, we're all very special. But did you believe, like, when she was interrogating him for a bit that, like, you're not special? Like, did you start believing it?
Not really.
But that's kind of what they're trying to do, right? Is they're trying to make you kind of realize, like, oh, maybe they are all just insane.
Yeah, but I mean, but like maybe for a second, like it started being like, oh, well, that makes sense, and then so like some of the stuff she was saying, like, yeah, like, did you know there's guys who like climb rocks and they're able to like climb pillars and climb on the ceiling and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you know what, like that might be some credence to that, but yeah, it plays kind of a mind fuck on you in that sense. And that's a really, like we said, a really cool, it's probably my favorite scene of the film is because it gets pretty, like, it's a pretty long scene. It's not like one take, but when they're in that little therapy or session or she's
like 11 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's like, I think it's like in a pink room. It's like really big. But there's a lot of like nice, like tight shots and everybody. So I think that was really kind of nice, but yeah, I mean, it kind of plays with you that way. I didn't really see that particular twist, but I think it's nice that he doesn't have to rely on this big, huge reveal. It's kind of like it has its own internal logic where it's not as far-fetched. Mm-hmm. And I felt that was better because, like a couple things that he's done are far-fetched. The Village being one of them, where it's like, can't fly a plane over this area,
you just have to kind of...
It's fucking ridiculous.
Have faith.
Yeah, you do. And he really asks a lot of your audience to do that. But it's like with this one, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, that's what I meant by comic book. It's not like it just has kind of like a comic book ish story to it, like, but then it also has like maybe a slight like conspiracy kind of element to it too, which I thought was cool. So you're not relying on one like way to tell a story. You're bringing in different elements, which I thought was really kind of unique about this film compared to his other movies. Mm-hmm. I'm just kind of glad like he's doing a good movie now because it's like, okay, what is he going to do next? And I hope it does well. Like I'm really kind of rooting for the guy now after seeing this, whereas before I just kind of wrote him off as like, that kind of happens. But now I'm kind of like interested to see what he's going to do. It was kind of nice to see his little cameo because he is like Quentin Tarantino. He does like to put himself in his movies.
I didn't like his cameo in this one.
It's kind of like silly,
It was, because he goes, hey, don't I know you? Like, would you just recognize some guy from 15 years ago and then say, I was in some shady people back then, and then all of a sudden you give us come on.
He said like he was probably like getting all messed up on something. And it's like, you're not going to remember anybody from back then. I know. Dude. Come on.
But it was kind of
silly. It wasn't as annoying as like a Tarantino cameo though, where it's like, shut up.
Where he's
like,
just
it's like you can't
flapping his jaws, hogging all the camera.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, Julius. Bonnie doesn't make shit coffee. Okay.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the way that it went and the plot went. I kind of sense it was going to stay where it did. I understand the execution on a couple things. I felt like there's a lot of misdirection. But what it really does is it's kind of like it's almost like the anti-superhero movie because it doesn't give you all the things that you think you want. You don't get the big showdown. You don't get the hero. You don't get all these things. Like it's almost like it's an origin story in some respects.
Yeah.
And
or an end of like it kind of, I got like not like a direct comparison, but like with Logan, it's like you feel like the whole thing is kind of coming to an end, but it's not going to be like a pretty ending, it's not going to be all tight, or it's not either that, or it's not going to like say, oh, there's another one coming, like be ready,
I didn't see them all dying.
That was the biggest surprise, and I didn't want to say that on the pre-show, pre-spoiler section of the show, because that like really kind of made me sad. I was like, shit. Like,
Well,
especially with Bruce Willis.
I thought they underserved Bruce Willis's character a bit because he seemed to have struggle quite a bit. And then, there's this other part that was he throws those cops in the bin going, I'm trying to protect you from him.
Yeah, he took a sweet
then
time.
He goes through the trouble to
tighten
this pipe around it. When I'm kind of going,
meanwhile, some other guy's getting his face eaten up, like
I know,
like Hannibal Lecter.
I'm like, you don't really need to tighten the pipe. You could have just put the thing found as a means to show
in there, and that works.
Right. Yeah, it's like a 15-foot pipe, man. You don't need to like bend it to show you're strong.
Yeah, it took like 10 minutes to do that, and then everyone else is getting fucked up behind him. So it's like, all right.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like
sir.
I mean, the whole water thing, like it wasn't really a big deal in the first one because you understood that. What I do appreciate is that they did make a lot of connections to Unbreakable. They even had a couple scenes that showed some unused footage, and then they made extra footage and then tied it together to Unbreakable, like when he was on the train and stuff. I thought was really clever. So there's some really cool moments and a lot of really good callbacks to Unbreakable. But I don't know. Like the whole water thing in the first one was kind of like, oh, this is his kryptonite. So it's kind of cute. But they didn't really spend a lot of time talking about it. He fell in the pool and overcame it, right?
And then it's like some stupid ass kids are like holding him down in the water.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to him as a kid, so that's where his fear of water came from.
Past trauma, yeah. But it seems like too, like that's where you started going, oh yeah, maybe they're not so much superheroes because they were all like kind of shaped by past trauma.
And that's the thing. That's the point they're trying to make. But where I'm going with this is, in this movie, they really doubled down on the water's your weakness kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like they just fill his room full of like a sprinkler. I'm like, how's this guy take a shower then if you're just going to hose him with water? Like,
yeah, how does he look so clean?
I don't know. I felt like they could have done it a little more theatrical. They could have had him like sitting over one of those dunk tanks you see at the fair or something like that. Something that seemed like more than just, if you've misbehaved, we're just going to spray you with water and you can't handle it. Maybe screaming on the
manhole.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, and then like that last scene where he gets thrown into that little tank, and then the beast comes after him, and it looks like they jump in a massive pool, but then on the outside it's like this little rinky-dink looking, 100-gallon tub. You're like, what?
Yeah.
It's not without its fault, people. So
yeah, it's not. It's not a perfect movie, but
you could see where the budget went.
It's very entertaining. Yeah, you never felt it was too cheesy. I didn't anyway. Except
no.
They could have spent a little bit more money on the makeup.
Please, Jesus.
That was just goddamn. Like that was like
It's like the very first stage in Raiders where that guy's face melts.
Have you seen The Wall?
What, Pink Floyd?
Yeah, remember the we don't need no education, that scene where they're all wearing the masks?
Yeah,
that's
one of those.
I thought of. I was like, oh shit. Like it's like,
Oh.
Harken back to my teenage years.
Yeah.
The Wall.
I don't know what I thought of. It just looked really creepy.
Yeah,
it looked like Michael Myers looking face.
Yeah, they could have done that a little better.
I know. I was like, this face is distracting the shit out of me right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was happy with it. I would probably give it a B+, a B+. It's a
nice popcorn
3.5 out of 5 stars. 3.5 out of 5 stars.
B.5.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it again because I think it's going to be like Unbreakable, where I just watching that again the other day, just kind of realized like, wow, there's really not a whole lot that happens in this movie. It is really simple, and I feel like this is the same kind of thing, except the acting, the execution, and the plot is really strong.
Yeah,
and that is his strength. It's not a fast moving plot,
right? You could tell a good story until it gets to like a lawnmower killing somebody. And it's like, hold on a minute, buddy.
Yeah.
It's not a mermaid living in the urban pool.
Yeah. I just did feel that they, the things that kind of just stuck with me is that they did underserve Bruce Willis a little bit. They didn't showcase his strength completely. And
it's like, where's Bruce at, dude? Like it just didn't seem like he was in the movie a lot to me.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a strong presence in it, but he's really mellow and quiet in the first one too, in Unbreakable.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
But he just didn't have a strong presence. Sam Jackson was quiet and didn't say anything for most of the movie. I think that may have limited how much they could have used them budget wise.
They could have at least given him a bell like Tuco's uncle, because it's
something, right?
That's what I thought of too. Like he did those little face ticks like Tuco's uncle, and I'm like, totally yeah, dude. Like, that's Tuco's uncle, dude.
Salamanca.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but then I thought it was really cool how he kind of came around. Which I knew what was happening. I wasn't like surprised there. I was curious how they were going to do it.
But it's not like your typical villain where it's like it has some depth to it. It's like you felt kind of bad for his upbringing and stuff, and it's like the condition he was born with. So it's like it's kind of sad more than anything, but.
Well, let's not overlook the fact that he's like a mass murderer.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's like, you have
so
to like
it's weird that he's in there. Like it was a little ridiculous to me that they had Bruce Willis, who fights good. Yeah, he might not do it. He's like Batman, you know what I mean? Like, the law appreciates it. They're like, you're committing, vengeance on people for crimes that they haven't been tried for yet. And it's
but it's like
put him in a psych ward, and then
yeah,
McAvoy obviously is nuts, and then Glass is nuts because he's murdered people. So I wish they had more of a hook of why Dunn was in that ward. I maybe would have bought it a little bit more.
It's just to buy them. It's just to put them all in the same place, so what's her name could take them all out.
No, I get it, but my point is that you don't know this at the time
until you get to that. Yeah, it's like he's not crazy. He's the most sane one of all of them.
Yeah, and he wasn't really making a plea for his case. He was just kind of like, well, this is me now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He just went with it.
Yeah, my son's gonna bail me out, and he shows up and he can't even keep his story straight.
Yeah,
it's like
so. I mean, and I just kind of, I'll have to overlook those things for the good things that it has. I mean, I think the best thing in the movie was a lot of the camera work and how the environment was used. It felt really nice.
Camera work was cool.
And yeah.
I mean, it's cool too. I like it in the movies too, where they show like the surveillance footage. That's always kind of cool. It's just very like self-referential. Like where instead of showing like what's going on, it's like, we'll cut to the surveillance camera and show you what's going on.
Yeah, they do that a lot. That's almost kind of like the foreshadowing, you know what I mean? Is that you're seeing these things happen via surveillance is the same way that other people are seeing it, which I thought was kind of ironic.
Yeah.
It's almost a little too clever for its own good in some areas. Like I think the audience might miss some of the stuff the first time.
Sure. I'll watch it again.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, a lot of your sentiments I would echo. I think for me it was a good popcorn movie. I really enjoyed it. Nice to see M. Night back in the swing of things.
Yeah,
thanks, sir.
It's a step in the right direction.
He's
2 for 2 and M. Night 2.0 or 3.0, whatever gen he's on.
Exciting to see what he's up to next, as long as it's not some kind of like crazy, whatever. But yeah, I had a good time watching this film. I would recommend it to anyone who likes the previous two movies or just brand new to it. Check it out and go back and watch the other ones.
There you go.
That's it.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. The Harsch Review, talk about Glass. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you've seen it, please, by all means, comment on our Facebook page. Let us know what you thought. Just be mindful of spoilers or anything like that for anybody else, or send us an email, harschreview@gmail.com. Love to hear your guys' thoughts and feelings about Glass.
Real quick, want to close this out with Twitter post that Mr. Shyamalan put a few days ago. It's kind of cool. As Glass movie opens around the world today, I feel so very lucky. Cinema has always been sacred to me, my religion in many ways. To be able to add my voice to the mix, I cannot thank the fans enough for making this happen. Here we go. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm curious what Kevin Smith has to say about it, because I know that he had a really good idea for an Unbreakable.
I was thinking the same thing last night. I was like, what would Kevin Smith say? Because
he's gonna say like, something.
Yeah, he always chimes in, and I do respect his authority. I mean, he's very very well known, knowledgeable about this stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he says.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. All right. Well, there you have it. Episode 59. We'll be back next week with episode 60. Thank Thanks again for all the support starting off 2019. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app, player, or wherever you find us. And check us out at the Harsch Review, HARSCH Review.com. Stay connected, and thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Not at the movies. No.
You're about to do a Siskel thing. Huh?
I paused, and then you're about to say it.
Yeah. I'll see you
at the movies.
So would you be Ebert or Siskel?
Siebert. I'd be like a hybrid.
Okay. Bye, everyone.